I really got handed out to the guys at Hollywood. They keep on surprising me each episode because we get to go down to a lower level of creative hell each time, and I'm like, okay, we're at the bottom. We can't get any worse than this, but nope. this episode takes it to a whole new level of characters not acting the way they should, canon not mattering, and just nonsensical world is just now full on blast. And the primary example of this is going to be around Osha, how she saw her friends, or at least pseudo friends of the Jedi, die in the previous episode, to now in this one she's somewhat okay with Kylo Ren, to now being seduced by him, to finally being a dark Jedi. Like, how does that necessarily work? I want to understand that because it doesn't make any sense for me. Also, this is the dude that's trying to kill your sister right now, so how is she okay with that? The show doesn't do a very good job on showing us why she was able to so easily be seduced by Smilo Ren. Like, if this was a course of months of him just slowly grading at her and just wearing down her defenses, okay, sure. But you should not trust this guy, much less go ahead and fall to the dark side with him just because he had somewhat of a sob story that I was betrayed by the Jedi. And the Jedi, they have their ways of teaching, which is very strict, and you have to do it every day. But if you just give in to your desires, give in to your passions, you can get a power that's far stronger than a normal Jedi, which I think is normal Star Wars Force lore. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm very vague on exactly the Force exactly in the old EU, so please hammer down in the comics below. But that's my understanding, that that's somewhat of an okay understanding of the Force. But I don't know, man. It just didn't feel like there was any real connection. Like, I didn't understand why she was being seduced. Like, the dude, he delivered the lines, but he didn't deliver them in necessarily the best way. I thought that would make someone fall towards the dark side. And on Osha's part, she just always had that wooden blank face that I never really believed that she was falling towards the dark side so much. I mean, I personally believe more so that she got impressed by his naked body than by what he was saying, because we do get that naked scene of him, but we only see his back, so we don't really see anything all that revealing. But the whole scene where that happens doesn't make much sense to me, but I'm okay with it. I know a lot of people have their gripes with it, and that's fine, but I'm like, we had Leia in her bikini outfit in Return of the Jedi, and this one we only saw someone's back, so I'm okay with it for the most part. We didn't see anything too intimate, so it's fine. Would I add it in there? Not really. It didn't add anything to the story, but it is what it is. But my biggest pet peeve is how easily she slid to the dark side, but she's not necessarily the worst character in this episode, because the person who I honestly think gets the worst of it is Soul. Soul, I thought you were a Jedi Master. I thought you understood the Force, but apparently he can't even sense when someone has a clear intention to kill him right behind him, because Osha May, when she's coming up to the bridge, when Soul's trying to send out a message to the Jedi Council about what happened, she has a knife out. She has a clear intention of going in for a kill, but he doesn't seem to sense that at all. In fact, all he does is, like, he tells her to go take control of the steering while he heads down to the compartments to figure out why he's having trouble sending out his signal. And when we see him go down there, he's just having a mental breakdown. So Soul's having a very hard to keep it together. Now, I understand that on Soul's part, because he just saw his fellow Jedi die, his pupils, so I can understand why he would have a very emotional reaction to what was going on. It just seems like he's giving into his emotions easier than what we've seen other Jedi do when they've lost somebody, but this has always been established that Soul is more of an emotional Jedi, so we can kind of understand that. So that part's okay, but really, Soul at this point should be sensing that this is not the Osha that he knows, because May, she should have a dark presence around her. She's killed people, she's lied to people, and now she's trying to kill you in your own ship. But all Soul does is, when he sees her next, he just wraps her into a hug and tells her that you are the one who saved us from Smilo Ren. He corrupted your sister, and he's the reason why she's going off on these killing spree. And he tells her that, you know what, I'm going to tell you the story of what happened and why I need to go turn myself into the Jedi, because his guilt is now just overflowing. But before he can do that, the whole ship shuts down. And why does the ship shut down? Were they hit by an asteroid, or did May plan this so she could kill Soul in the dark? Nope, because Soul just tells her to go check the electronics, which she willingly does, but she should have no idea on what she's doing. But she goes ahead and goes checks the parlor. And she goes in there, flips a couple of switches, everything turns back on just fine. And then all of a sudden she gets attacked by the gopher dude. Because apparently the gopher, he knows that she is not OSHA. He knows that he's May. And has decided to team up with the little hand robot to go attack her. Now, here's the thing. Why would you go attack her like this? Like, I understand shutting down the ship. Okay, fine. You separate them. And while she's got to go check on that, then you go tell Soul what's going on, but he decides to attack for no reason, and the little gizmo sprays some oil into May's face. I don't really understand the whole scenario here, but she returns to Soul with the droid reprogrammed and now fully under her control. And at this point, Soul and her have a little bit more heart-to-heart, and she goes back to the control panel to talk to the incoming Jedi they sent a message out to. But before she can respond, Soul shoots her with a stun gun, because apparently that little gopher got back to Soul to tell him that that's not OSHA. And the Jedi who are responding, Soul quickly runs over, turns off his emergency signal, and they jump to another system out of that system that they're currently in. And as they do so, the Jedi that they contacted have jumped in to come help rescue them and figure out what's going on with the planet. But below. Now, Soul, once May wakes up, he tells her that he has a lot of things to tell her about, and she's going to listen to him. I mean, she doesn't have really much of a choice. She's now strapped down to the table like some kind of mad scientist is going to cut her right down the middle. So that's kind of where we leave this episode. Not really much happening there, but still, Soul, you should have figured this out way long ago. I don't understand why the little gopher dude had to come by and be the one to tell Soul that, hey, OSHA is not OSHA. So I don't understand that, but he's not the only one that's incompetent. Now, the Jedi that comes to figure things out, they're a little less incompetent, but still pretty much on that level of incompetence, because when they sent the message out to the Jedi Temple, Soul apparently didn't tell them, hey, the Sith are back, send as many Jedi as you can, we need to figure out what's going on, he wiped out my entire squad, we need to hunt this man down. No, all he says, my squad's been wiped out, and that's all that they got for the message. So I would leave with Sith, because you know for a Sith, and you know that they are arch enemies. So why wasn't that like top of the things you tell the Jedi Council in your message to them? But okay, fine, whatever. I guess we can now still say canonically the Jedi have no idea that the Sith are out there, just because Soul was dumb enough not to tell the Jedi Temple that the Sith are back, which he should have. So I have a little pet peeve with that. Now, we cut on over to Vanessa, something, I forget her name right off the top of my head. It's Leslie Headland's wife, who's the green-skinned alien that cannot act to save at all. She has one emotion, she has one look, and she has one tone of voice. It never really changes at all. I mean, we have some slight deviation in the episode, but there's nothing really all that much there. Once she hears the news that Soul's team has been completely wiped out and that Soul is the only one left alive, they head off to go figure out what's going on at that planet with a Jedi that kind of looks like a interesting individual. He's a Padawan, so that's fine, I guess, in some respects, but he's not the brightest one in the shed, because as soon as they get to the planet, they start looking around. You could really use this to, tell us some history about the Sith. Tell us about the Sith Wars. Tell us, the way that they died, the aggressive slashes. This isn't the way that a Jedi would fight. In fact, this reminds me of the text that we read back when I was a younger Padawan of the Sith Wars, back on Korriban when the Jedi were going at it with the Sith. But no one should know these techniques that I barely even know, because I had a chance to study them. Like, you should have something like that kind of dialogue going on, but instead you just have, there's a lot of stabbing, explosions, the twins are missing, I don't really see too much more, and then it's the Master Vanessa who says, it was another person with a lightsaber that did all this damage, my Padawan. And as we're talking about that, there's a bug that flies out of nowhere that she slices in half with her whip lightsaber. That's kind of lame, I'm going to be honest with you. The trailer made it look a lot more cool than what we actually saw. So maybe it's cooler in a fight, but it wasn't that cool in my opinion. Now, they decide that they are going to actually bury the body, so that's very nice of them. So that kind of wraps up that scenario there. Oh, now I should also mention that Jackie is dead. So she's still dead in this episode. So I guess you can kill somebody with stabs in Star Wars now, as long as it's 3. It has to be 3 stabs to kill somebody. So she's gone. Yard is still gone. And the rest of the Jedi group, they're all slain. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up this episode. One thing I want to mention real quick, two things about Osha. So when Osha's on the planet with Smilo Ren, that planet is now, you would recognize it as the Last Jedi planet that Luke Skywalker was on. They call it the Unknown Planet, but come on. At the end of this season, they're going to reveal it as this was the planet that Luke Skywalker was on. They're going to show us your temple and all the other stuff. So, yes, this is where that is. I 100% believe that that is the Last Jedi planet. And two, there's a Catorsis vein running through the cave that Smilo Ren and Osha are using that is very obviously able to be mined. So why didn't he mine that to use as another part of his armor? Like, why would you just have a helmet and gauntlet? Like, you should go ahead and get a whole suit of armor because it looks like there's enough cortosis there to use that. And also, he seems to be using just like a welder on the helmet. And how's that working? Because it was able to take the blows from lightsabers, which are way hotter than your welder. Like, I would understand if you had to like melt down the metals and then put them into a special cast, and it's a very long and arduous process, and that's why it's so rare and hard to use. It just takes a long time to repair. But this doesn't make any sense. It should not be affecting the metal that easily at all. But as I said, they break their canon every which way they want to. And final point I want to make is that it looks like Vanessa the Green Skinned Jedi Master was the Smilo Ren's master that he got betrayed by, because there's a scar on his back that looks like it was from a whip of some sort. But here's the thing. If you get whipped by a lightsaber whip, that should cut right through you. That should not just leave a scar. Like, it'd be one thing if it had like a wire inside of the blade and it was just electrical wire that was just very high voltage and powerful and wasn't an actual lightsaber. But if this is an actual lightsaber, yeah, that should cut right through him. It shouldn't just left that weird scar on his back. But hey, that's just me. But you guys let me know. Am I just digging too much into this? Am I making mountains out of molehills? I want to hear what you guys' thoughts. Leave a like, comment, or subscribe down below, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care now. Bye.